welcome to Davi-tech-media, the media that shares news, trending videos, political news, gospel music, as well as entertainment. Please, if you are joining me for the first time, don't forget to click that subscription button and that notification bell.
Everybody, and once again, may I request that we begin to contact our colleagues and our friends, our families, and the platforms that are able to join us tonight so that we can offload on a number of issues, especially knowing that today is the day when the giant of Africa, our founding president, has finally come to the end of his journey, and his remains have been deposited at Embassy Park for a remembrance and as a seed sown for the future of our country and the future of our continent. So today is an extremely significant day, and because it is significant, I am going to highlight something that I consider to be monumental in the manner in which we move forward as a nation in honor of this son of Africa. And it's been a long journey of 97 years, but even more than that, we have witnessed that the last 21 days have been life-changing, impacting on the very thought life and pattern of our nation. Hopefully, that which has been imparted into our hearts as a result of the demise and the homegoing of our first president is going to remain eternally deposited, not only in our hearts today, but in the hearts of our children and our children's children, to give character to our country as the most peaceful nation on the continent of Africa, but also as the most united nation on the continent of Africa. Both of these are possible, and we can make them happen. And we do all this as we celebrate the life of the late President, Dr. Kenneth David Kaunda. So today is an important night, and I felt that I needed to have a heart-to-heart discussion, and I hope that we can all follow together on this great occasion. Fellow countrymen and women, today, the 7th day of the 7th month of 2021, we have finally put to rest the gallant soldier for democracy and the gallant soldier for independence, Dr. Kenneth David Kaunda. Now that he's gone, his remains have been deposited at Embassy Park. Questions remain. Where do we go from here? And how do we take advantage of this life that God gave to us? I'll talk about a number of those things. Let me start by, first of all, congratulating President Edgar Chagwa Lungu for announcing the 28th of April as Kenneth Kaunda Day, KK Day. You are aware, fellow countrymen, that I have been, together with our party and many other Zambians, been asking that a day be spared to commemorate what it means to live under the Kaunda era. Not only that, but the virtues and the values of Kenneth Kaunda and how we can push them into the future. I argued last year on his birthday and on Africa Freedom Day. I argued that his colleagues that were with him, the Mahatma Gandhi's history, because he was a student of Mahatma Gandhi, then Martin Luther King Jr., then Nelson Mandela, all these, his equals, have been given days to remember what they represent and what they mean to their countries and to the world. And the history you preserve and respect as a nation, that is the history that the world is going to take about you. And if we don't eulogize Dr. Kenneth Kaunda appropriately and properly, we are able to lose this thing that we have in our hands to make Zambia a shining light on the continent of Africa, but also on the global stage. I think we have something going for us as Zambia, and therefore we congratulate the president for finally announcing a Kenneth Kaunda Day. We'd like to further propose that instead of it just being a day on which we have a holiday, because a holiday does not mean that you do not preoccupy your minds with the substance or the content of that holiday. Every holiday must have a reason. Otherwise, we are just keeping people away from work, and it is not really being utilized for the purpose for which it was announced. We would like to propose a little, some kind of information to go further than what the president has done. That is, we need to thematize this this holiday. Thematize it by putting the theme of this holiday as part of what David Kenneth Kaunda really represented and what he considered dear to his heart. And that was the scripture, thou shalt love thy neighbor as yourself. We'd like to propose that the events and the activities of that day circle around that theme of loving your neighbor, because when you love your neighbor, you sustain peace amongst yourselves. You are thinking about your neighbor. You're thinking about your friend. You're thinking about the welfare of the person next to you. The more you think about others instead of yourself, the more you promote peace amongst yourselves and in the nation. Because it also, by loving your neighbor, you also encourage unity, because you think of your friend and your neighbor before you think about yourself. That in itself propels the spirit of unity. It also creates the spirit of tolerance if you can think of your neighbor more than yourself. So I would like the activities, the lectures on that day, the activities of that day to be activities that preoccupy themselves with the spirit of the neighbor. How do I become a blessing to the neighbor? In other words, you are actually defeating the spirit of selfishness, where you put yourself aside and put your friend in your place and start to say, what I'm going to do for my friend is what I would rather do for myself. Because at that point, you're actually walking the Christian walk. You are actually walking the Christian walk. So it's those things that you wish to provide for yourself that you decide to provide for others. That really is what the issue is. So today, I may be a little controversial, but we have an opportunity now that we have put to rest Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. Now we are able to talk about how we move forward. How do we really move forward as a country without Kenneth Kaunda in person, but in spirit and in character? We should take him right along with us. The role of government, or any government, is to ensure that it appropriates the riches, the resources of the country equitably to all citizens, especially the underprivileged amongst us, those who do not have access to the good things of life. Government creates policies and opportunities for every citizen of the country to enjoy the benefits of being a citizen of Zambia. And therefore, one of the responsibilities of our government, and as we aspire to form government next month, our responsibility should be that we have chosen to become a Christian nation. And the Christian nation operates on certain values. And these are the values that we want to espouse and push across. We have chosen to live with a higher law, and that is the law of loving your neighbor. Moving forward, I'm so touched that we have placed on the tomb of this great son of Africa that he was the bearer of peace. He is a bearer of peace. But at the bottom, we have put his favorite verse of scripture. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And love your neighbor as you love yourself. I'm so glad that we put that there, because that's what's going to remind us. Now, I want to go to something that I believe is important, and we need to look at it together. I will not be long tonight because it's been a long day for everybody. But I just want to seal this day as we close this procession, as we close this activity of putting Dr. Kaunda to rest. I would like now to use this thing we have done today to propel ourselves into the future, to put Zambia on the path to prosperity and healing and protection. We must correct the wrongs of yesterday. If Zambia does not correct the wrongs of yesterday, we are not going to enjoy the benefits of what Dr. Kaunda left with us. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. As you love yourself. Zambia is guilty. Our nation is guilty. It is guilty because if you do not honor those who have gone before you, and you continue to abuse them or to make sure that they do not get the benefits that belong to them, you cannot be blessed as a nation. That is why it was important for Dr. Kaunda to pray the prayer he prayed before he died, which was recited by the unique president today, that he releases the presidency of this country and blesses this country and blesses the presidency. It was extremely important for Dr. Kenneth Kaunda to do that, because if he had not released it, it's like he would have died with a blessing for this country, but he gave it out to us before he died. We are grateful to God for that. Truly, truly, truly grateful. But here is what we are guilty of. Zambia has for the longest time been in a habit of neglecting those who have served this country. And we have seen some of these people that sacrificed everything they had for this country die in utter poverty and die in a manner in which it does not bring honor to our country, and it does not honor God at all. We need to correct this evil. It is this evil that robs us of the blessings that are supposed to be bestowed upon us. Remember, God did not tell us that we declare ourselves a Christian nation. We chose God. We chose to declare ourselves a Christian nation, meaning we have bound ourselves to certain levels of commitment and decorum. And one of those things is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. You are in government today. Those of us that are privileged to have served in government. When we're in government, there's a feeling that we will never leave government. And these benefits and the care that we are receiving will always be there for us. But Zambia has been known to drop the ball. The moment somebody leaves government, it doesn't matter how much they worked for government, they are abandoned. They are not even talked to because of a tradition that must be broken now that Dr. Kaunda is gone. I agree to some extent that President Lungu says he brought back the One Zambia, One Nation, restored some of the values for Dr. Kenneth Kaunda and the respect and the honor to him. But we should not also forget that when President Levi Mwanawasa became president and I was deputizing him, at that time, we had to put in structure legally a system that supported the office of the former president. Prior to that, it was just by mercy and how they were going to help him. It was not clear how the former president was supposed to be taken care of. But now we have this that has been instituted as the office of the former president. That is step number one. But remember, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda was not alone when he and his colleagues got our independence. And when you look around to see the former freedom fighters and what they have gone through and what they are going through today, it breaks my heart, but it should break your heart as well. Because what kind of a country are we that we forget to appreciate the fact that what we have, what we are enjoying today, the peace we have, somebody suffered for it. We cannot be so aloof and so selfish that we start to enjoy the benefits of Zambia without looking out for those who brought it about. A lot of these freedom fighters have died in utter poverty with nothing to them. And nobody really even knew the day they died, because we don't have a deliberate plan to honor those who have given us what we've got. We've got to know that we are guilty. We are guilty. We are guilty, and we must correct this and start afresh. That is why my theme for this campaign is a fresh start. We need a fresh start, a start where we honor those that have gone before us. Other countries have honored people that didn't do half what Kenneth Kaunda did, that didn't do half what Simon Mwansaka did, that didn't do half what Harry Nkumula did for us, that did not do half what Grey Zulu, for instance, did for us in their struggle for our independence. But these names I'm mentioning, some of them, even President Mr. Grey Zulu, when he died, I mean, one would wonder, what did government do for him in his lifetime after he left government? Very little that we know of. There's nothing in the law that protects him or that made him have what he needed. If he was given medical attention by government, it was because the Secretary to Cabinet or the President in State House felt sorry and helped him. And we need to depart from that. We need to make sure that we take care of those that have suffered and served our nation. I believe that it is important for me to talk about this, because if we don't, the curse that comes upon our country cannot be reversed until we learn to honor those that have gone before us and paid the highest price. And I thought that it was important for me to deal with this. It's not only the political leaders that have gone without what belongs to them. The retirees of our nation who have served this nation and have not been paid their dues, and a lot of them have died without being paid their dues. We are demanding that this government continues to honor those people that have served this country, even in the civil service, to make sure that they are paid what is due to them. Because we now understand the saying of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you were that civil servant that used to work in government that 20 years ago and sacrificed your entire life to serving this country, and then you die without getting your benefits, or those from parastate organizations, parastatal companies that were liquidated and sold off under privatization, some of them died without getting their benefits. That is a curse on the Zambian life of our country. We need to correct that wrong. And I would say that the Nevers Mumba administration, God giving us a chance to govern this country, these are things we're going to deal with. Cut out on our luxuries and pay back these people and let them be the ones to bless us and the future generations. We cannot hold on to what belongs to our people out there. So that is something we need to be aware of, that we are guilty. They have died without their pay. Their tears, their cries before God are a witness against our country's prosperity. We need to do the right thing. We need to come to a place where we say ministers will get half their salaries for the next 6 months or for the next year until we clear these people. We have to make sure the luxuries of all these things we're having are cut down so that we can honor the people that have served this country. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. What you'd like to happen to you when you leave government, make sure it happens to somebody who has left government. It's extremely important. Let us give honor to whom honor is due. And a lot of people who have helped build Zambia have died in dishonor, in shame. I'm not talking about wholesale distribution of money to everybody that ever worked for, that was in government. But there are people whom we owe amounts of money, whom we owe this money. We need to, first of all, deal with that group and make sure we clear them, because that's where our blessing as a nation comes from. As a Christian nation, we must ensure we do our part so that the blessing of the Lord may rest upon this country. So I made a statement, and I know that this might offend a few people, but I made a statement when former Vice President Lupando Mwape died. You must understand that it's not only the former freedom fighters or the freedom fighters, but the former ministers and former who have never received what is due to them. When Lupando Mwape died, former Vice President Lupando Mwape died, a problem erupted because according to statutes and the practice of government, a former Vice President receives a state funeral. And but when you look at the way Mr. Lupando lived, had nothing at all. Even when he was sick, there was no guarantee that government was going to help him with anything. There is nothing given to a former vice president. I'm not talking about it because I'm former vice president. I'm just talking about what I have seen and what I've commented about. I think that it is important for the people that have served this country in an honorable manner to be taken seriously and taken care of, instead of them becoming a curse to us. And I thought that was a very sad development of what had happened to that former vice president, and we must make sure we don't live in that state. Now, it's a short message today. The short message I'm giving is that if we are going to love our neighbor as ourselves, and I remember on the day of the memorial service of President Chiluba, I turned to the sitting vice president, Madam Inonge, in her honor, and I said, Your Honor, the 4 surviving vice presidents have written a letter to the president and a copy to you, telling you some of the challenges they are facing and asking for you to look into it. And she actually answered and she said, well, I am sure that the moment I leave this office, I'm going to fall into the same club where I have to look around to see how I survive. And therefore, it is something that we must ensure that we take care of in the sense of responsibility of state. But let us start afresh. A country of honor. You honor those who have given us the foundation of peace and unity in our country. Those heroes who have created this economy we currently enjoy. The Mumba administration shall clear all these obligations that the country owes to these people whose families have become poor because we have not been able to honor them. First of all, I've dealt with the freedom fighters. I've made it clear that Dr. Kenneth Kaunda was not alone. And we must make sure that we take care of the few that are remaining, that they die in dignity as we give gratitude to them for what they have done for us. We are going to think about the unpaid retirees. We need to continue to ensure that we have a program that quickly clears them, a lot of them while they're still alive, because many have died without getting their benefits. And that is a transference of a curse on our nation, and we need to do that. We need to deal with people like cabinet ministers or vice presidents who have not been honored or given what was due to them. Those are issues that we need to look at, and also to look at the poor who must be respected in this country. I'm now talking about leaders here a little bit more. President Chiluba and his family. President Chiluba was acquitted by the courts of law. Up to this day, when you look at his children, it's like they were never children of a former president. It's these things that we'll enjoy, to see the suffering of those who were ahead of us and their offspring. And I think it is important for us to ensure that we correct this. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. And I said to the current leaders in government, it is important for us to lay the right foundation and start afresh. I think it will be very unfair for the next president to mistreat, for instance, Tarsila Lungu, because the president Lungu is no longer president. I think they deserve to be allowed to live in this country freely, and the benefits remain for them without always cutting off those that were before us. I think that we need to work together on this. The Chiluba family has no house yet, and yet he left office a long time ago. I think that's not right. The same thing with the Mwanawasa legacy. He served this country, helped the economy to grow, and yet today there was no house that was built, and there are certain questions that still remain unanswered. The reason I brought this, it's not that we want to pad these people who were privileged before. There is a legacy in this country, and the legacy that we want to now have is a legacy of commitment to those who have gone before us. We have seen it in Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. By honoring him, the entire world honors us. By respecting our former president, the entire world respects us as Zambia, because all of a sudden they realize that we value what we have and we are ready to respect what we have and give it the best that we can. Today, I had no intention of speaking for a long time. All I wanted to say as we lay this great servant of the people to rest today, may we start afresh by making sure that we do not abuse those who have gone before us. The freedom fighters of our country are a sad story, and they need to be considered. I know that those who fought with David Kaunda are human beings just like Kaunda. They have families just like Dr. Kaunda, and they need to be remembered just like Dr. Kaunda has been remembered. It is important that we meet our obligation in that regard. And the reason I'm saying this is because social security for these people that have done their part for this country is extremely important, because tomorrow, next month, the other month, the people that are in government today may not be in government tomorrow. And they also will be wanting to be treated with respect and with honor for their contribution in the running of the affairs of our country. Today we have a challenge, and I think that we are guilty that we do not know how to honor those who have made our name Zambia great. And we can never be greater than the honor we give to those who made us great. So I had this burden on my heart as now we put finally to rest the remains of our former president. And now I can see these things. I think the greatest thing that can happen to us as a country is to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. And the best way to do this is to ensure that we honor those who have gone before us and give them what rightly belongs to them. I had no intentions of speaking long today. All I'm saying is that let's use love your neighbor as yourself as the candle that we are going to be using on the 28th of April to show that I can die to self and live for others. In conclusion, I want to say this. There's no great man, there's no great woman on this earth, in this country, except a man who chooses to live for others and die for others. Anybody who does the opposite, you are just preoccupied about yourself and your family. Your greatness is limited to the time that you are breathing your breath here on earth. But people like Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, who live for the neighbor and died for the next person, these are the people who will be eternally remembered throughout the history of our country and our continent. Mahatma Gandhi is remembered because he gave. Martin Luther King Jr. is remembered because he gave. And Mandela is remembered because he gave to others. And all these people and many others, I mentioned a few, but there are many who are remembered. It's because they didn't live for themselves, but they lived for others. Even at your personal level, if you ask for greatness in your life, the only thing I can say, if you really want to be great, die to self and live for others. Jesus Christ is being preached today around the world because he sacrificed everything he had, his godness and all his power, in order to die for us. His name shall never depart from our lips because he lived and died for us. And for you, selfishness, greed, and corruption is what's going to become the seal over your life after you're dead. Nobody will remember you. It doesn't matter the type of vehicles you drove. It does not matter the ministerial positions you held. It does not matter even if you were president at one time. If you don't live for others, if you don't sacrifice for others, you are not a person that shall be remembered tomorrow. I would like Zambia to have a legacy. And that's a legacy of responsibility to those that have gone before us and paid the highest price. Fellow countrymen, I just thought that as we close this morning, let's take the words, love your neighbor as yourself. As you're in power, you're in government, you have power to make sure that you honor those that were there before you. I thank you, and may God richly bless you. And I know that a lot of you wanted me to say something else, but I just wanted to put this one out there. Then on Wednesday, I'm coming back, or rather on Friday, I'm coming back with the normal messages on the political trail. Here is what I wish to advise. Tomorrow, we all go back to the campaigns. I pray that ECZ, I pray that Cabinet Office makes it clear what is allowable, Ministry of Health, what is allowable in this campaign and what's not, so that everybody has a uniform way of approaching this campaign. There should not be one group being allowed to do something and the other one not being allowed. It's important that we have a peaceful election, as Kenneth Kaunda would want it to be for us as we go to this election. But I think that COVID is still with us, but we still have to make sure that in our campaigns, we do what needs to be done equitably across all political parties. It is important for ECZ. It's important for the Ministry of Health. It's important for the police service. All these wings to agree on what we are doing from tomorrow. If we do not have clear guidelines, we will end up implicating ourselves and endangering ourselves and having so many people die before the election. Let us make sure we take care of our families, make sure we do the campaigns effectively. MMD has a plan on how we're going to do it from tomorrow, but it's important that it is a way that does not endanger anyone's life. Fellow countrymen, I thank you, and may God bless you, and may the Lord cause his face to shine upon you. Zambia, being a Christian nation, is a nation we should all be proud of. I thank you, and may God richly bless you. Thank you.
Davi-tech-media. Subscribe to Davi-tech-media. Davi-tech-media.
subscribe to Davi-tech-media.
Thank you very much for tuning in at Davi-tech-media. Remember, Davi-tech-media is the media that shares news, trending videos, political news, gospel music, as well as entertainment. Please don't forget to click that subscription button and that notification bell to be the very first person to receive the video that will be produced and posted by Davi-tech-media. Davi-tech-media, updating you.